May 2nd, 2014. Imagine coming out of your home to have this to deal with. These are cold weather shiitake mushrooms that are just exploding off these logs. I have not soaked them. I haven't done any maintenance. I just had this remay stuff over them over winter. It's been raining lately. It's been cold. In the 50s and 60s. These cold weather strains are just pumping though. I've already started harvesting in here, but you can see deep in, back in there, all throughout, just starting to pin. Some of them are cresting and looking really beautiful. I can see a little cap back in there to grab. And disassemble this pile and harvest another pound or so from this pile today and have more to come back to. You can hear it in the weather. Breezy, rain drizzling. It's perfect weather for these cold weather shiitake strains. That's mishappiness right there. I'm getting some off this beautiful type called Snowcap. They make these cracked cap mushrooms. They get huge when the weather's right, but this stack tends to dry out as it's closer to the lake. Yeah, that's the view we have in the mushroom yard. Not too bad. Pretty exciting stuff here. In the fall, October 2013, I picked anywhere between 40 and 70 pounds in a 2 to 3 week period from this stack of mushroom logs. These are significant logs. They're 100, 125 a piece, some of them, 80 to 100, but pretty serious logs. They're not meant to be soaked. The soaking tank, which is draining right now, the smaller stuff is meant for that. There's actually a lot less work overall for the yield. So this spring, I mean, they just keep coming and coming. It's probably not showing up on video as well as it could, but pinning there, 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 boom, 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 all across these. Some that are in contact with the ground or very close to it, pinning very aggressively. It's called pinning here, right? So you can see the little mushroom, big fat stem, little mushroom popping right through the bark. That's the first time it's emerged through that spot. They emerged from here last year, coming out, doing their thing. More cold weather done this spring. I'm trying to get wise and just put them in a way where I can access the mushrooms indefinitely without having to move anything around. So we'll see. And that's the mushroom yard. Just thought it'd be exciting to share what's popping, literally. Another couple pounds to go. You know, some of the funkier looking ones I'll cut up and enjoy with breakfast. The rest of these I'm going to be bringing a bunch of mushroom logs to a plant sale this weekend, and I'll have these available for sale for $10 to $30 depending on the size. And I figure if folks can see what their future logs would make for them, buy a couple of mushrooms if they want, then that would work out pretty nicely. Overall, they're coming out beautifully. Millipede population has started really increasing here because of all the wood chips I bring in. Therefore, the slug population has dropped through the floor. Plus, it's cool out, so there's just like zero slug damage on these things. Cosmetically perfect. I don't have to wash them. Just washed my hands before I came out. Use a nice clean knife to cut them cleanly at the base, and there you go. It's a lot of food right there. A lot of medicine. A lot of security, too. Rough estimate, this yard. I got some nettles in there to cook up with this. I'm eating off the land pretty much. I could be 100% at this time of year until about December without having to put anything by. This yard represents probably upwards to 2,000 pounds of fresh shiitake mushroom that I can expect to eat over the next decade. Some of it through active management, most of it through passive management, and just basically the inertia has been set in motion. Now I just have to come through and harvest these flushes, you know, year after year for the next decade. Somewhere in that ballpark. The bigger logs last quite a while. And these are totem, shiitake totem style. This way you don't have to use a drill, just a chainsaw. And you lay your spawn in there. Save all the wood shavings to throw back in. So these stacks will hopefully inoculate and start fruiting for me next year. And in part, they're providing a wind barrier for the rest of the yard. Ooh, I see another one in there. Pins all over. Boom. I'll stop saying boom, it's probably annoying. I'm just excited is all. These are all fresh mushrooms. Each one of these, as long as it stays cool, humid, not too sunny, maybe a little bit more rain but not much, all of them can get to be that big around. This log has a ton of moisture and reserves to feed these mushrooms. This is not sawdust, grown mushrooms in a laboratory. On logs like this, they can just get massive, absolutely massive, and so good. Hope you grow some mushrooms for yourself, because man, is it a rewarding thing to come out and just harvest. Thanks for watching.